Have you got an audiobook for it?
There is an audiobook. Do you know what? We got...
Look at him trying to plug himself.
Do you have an audio book?
There is an audiobook. You can't read.
No, I was wondering, do you narrate it?
He wants to narrate it for you, doesn't he? Listen to him. Listen to the subtle dosage of his beautiful...
I think Jimmy would have been good to narrate. He's got a good voice. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, mate. I'm not sure your amazing accent would be suitable for my... I've gone more Richard Burton, kind of the West ways.
I'm not plugging myself. Look what you guys have done now, anyway. No, thanks.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on RugbyPass Offload with me, Marc Edwards, joined as always by Glasgow Warriors captain Ryan Wilson and Bristol Bears prop Max Leif. We'll also have the legendary Welsh centre Jamie Roberts on the show later on. Ryan, only one place to start, really. Bittersweet week, named captain of the Barbarians. What an honour. Walk us through the last sort of 24 hours into the build-up to the Baa-Baas game being called off.
Oh, boys. That bloody close to being the Barbarians captain. Can you believe it? I'm actually probably going to still hang the shirt up and say almost the Baa-Baas captain in the bottom.
The best captain that never was.
Give it to my old man as his 60th birthday present. It was his 60th as well. So I was like, probably more go for him, to be honest. I was like, I wanted to do it for him, you know. It was a bloody nightmare, wasn't it? It was a bloody nightmare. COVID, though, what can I say, boys? Like, just ruins everything. COVID ruins bloody everything. It's a pain in the arse. And just as we thought we were getting over it, maybe, it's all coming back.
Isn't it? Yeah. Flashbacks.
Yeah. But what do you want to know?
Like, were there any sort of... Because, when we spoke to you last week, there was so much excitement. You could sense just how much you were looking forward to this. Was it just absolutely gutting when the message came through? Yeah.
But the crazy thing was, I know there's a lot of backlash from fans saying, why was it called off so late? Genuinely, probably, I mean, we kept pushing the bus back. We're like, we're going to make this, we're going to do this. It almost got exciting. So 12:15, we're in the team room packed with a team ready to go. We're all boots in the bag. Right, boys, come on, we're going on the bus. That's how close we got to it. I'll tell you the start of the events. I mean, the start of the events is someone tested positive the day before in a lateral flow. We'd tested every single day. We were lat flowing like you wouldn't believe. I've never done so many lat flows in my life. And someone lat flowed positive, and the doc said, come on, boys, let's check it again. So he was isolated, checked again, negative. So we were like, oh, right, okay, false positive, carry on. Then I think they triple checked it for some reason. And next minute, the RFU are like, whoa, hold on, positive case. We want everyone PCR'd. So that night, we sat in a line in the bloody team room getting swabbed like by a bloke. Max, we're allowed to do it ourselves normally?
Yeah, but this guy was in there. Yeah.
It was like hands behind the back job, mouth open, nose out, and he went for it. Absolutely went to town. And do you know the ironic thing was? The guy that tested positive for the lat flow was negative the next day. He wasn't even a negative case, but they did pick up 4 players that were positive the next day. I mean, so that night, we didn't have the results. So no one knew what was happening. We're going ahead as normal, boys. Let's just prepare for a game. Even to the point, listen to this, that the player, we had to fly in another player, and I can't tell you whether it forwards or back because it doesn't even matter who he was. Nico Matawalu has just played a game in his club, and I phoned him. I said, Neeks, can you get on a plane? Maybe, I'll be there tomorrow. No worries.
Perfect impression every time.
Mate, he's on the plane. He's on the plane. Even to the point where he phones me from Twickenham. Where the fuck is everybody? I said, Neeks, have you not heard, mate? What? I said, the game's cancelled.
Oh
no.
Fucking so Nico Matawalu sat the ground waiting for us to get there. That's how late we knew. So it's not like we all knew. It's not like it was a big, we tried our best. I think RFU said no, and then it came down to National Health England or whatever it was, and then they basically said, "Listen, risk of health." We spoke to Samar, said, "Listen, we've got a 23 that can that can take the field." And they said, "Oh, well, we're happy with it if you are." And everyone lateral flowed that morning. Everyone was negative, so we managed to get a team together. But they just said it was too much of a risk. So I'll tell you another funny one is, even like, we were obviously thinking, right, we need players here, and you're not getting many players the night before a game. Petrus du Plessis, the Australian scrum coach.
Was he down, was he?
He drove 4 hours through the snow to get to Twickenham to find out that he wasn't playing either. And the boys, the Aussie boys, were dying for him. Like, bless his soul, man. He had been told by Dave, "Listen, you got a chance." And this was right at the beginning when Dave found out that he was the coach. He said, "You got a chance here to play for the Barbarians." So apparently Para, Petrus du Plessis, known as, his nickname's Para, he's been training like you wouldn't believe for 2 months. Dave threw him into a training session. Apparently he dropped every ball. But bless him, even he turned up. He was like, "How good, we're going to get to play again together." So there was a lot of broken hearts, but yeah, we did everything we could, and it just wasn't to be.
I like the desperation to get it done, though. That's fantastic stuff.
That was almost the excitement, though, because we were like, right, we haven't got enough players to do certain things, so we were chucking wingers on in the back row. I was like, "Listen, I can jump in at 12 if we need to." With this whole game plan, we were like, "Listen, we're just going to have to wing it, boys. We're going to absolutely wing it." And it almost became exciting. I mean, me, Nick White, and James O'Connor were like sat there going, "This is going to be awesome, boys. Like, what an experience this is." Like, I know that it's bad that these guys have got COVID, but this is the spirit of the Baa-Baas, just throwing people in left, right, and centre. And we would have done it. I reckon we would have done it. So, yeah, to be so close to them taken away, it was gutting. And you got a feel for the Samoans as well. But so they go out, perform their national anthem, do their national, the traditional dance, whatever it was, and they were upset, and you saw them get upset. But man, I was sat in a room with Rob Carney, who's ready to go and play his last ever game of rugby in a Baa-Baas shirt. Like, it wasn't like we didn't want to play. We were desperate to be out there, and it wasn't to be.
Quick word on, you mentioned on the Samoans, obviously it's really difficult for them. You mentioned Rob then, and also the great Joe Takore's career coming to a close as well. It was going to be quite an amazing event, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. You can go on that, Maxie, because Joe Takore's a legend, isn't he?
Mate, Big Joe. Probably the second scariest bloke I've ever taken the field against. Unbelievable scenes, mate. Have you seen that video of him with where he like feints that punch? He's like squaring up to him, he feigns it, and the guy's like, "Whoa!" Like freaks out, like the most overreaction ever, and he just laughs at him. I was like, "Oh my god, I'd do exactly the same on being if I was taking a right from that big fella." Man, what a player! He's done it all though. Toulouse stalwart, killed it there, and you just forget how big he is until you like on TV. He's massive. And then you get there and you're like, "Oh my God, you are 25 hands of the finest Polynesian flesh," like just barn-sized human. Yeah, outrageous. And he's got a bit about him, loves it as well.
Yeah. Who's the number one, Max?
Oh, man, it's the Tongan Baba Yaga, Halafir.
Yeah. Halafir, of course.
The man you called to kill John Wick, absolutely. Yeah.
Dylan Hartley said the whole saga was beyond embarrassing, and Jonathan David says it was an utter shambles and a disgrace. From your perspective, Ryan, John Spencer for the Baa-Baas considering legal action against both men. Where do you sit here?
Oh, our old mate Dylan of the show, hey? Getting stuck into us. But listen, they're entitled to their own opinion, aren't they? But for me personally, I'll probably wait till I get all the facts before I go throwing opinions out like that, And it's obviously preconceived idea of what we've been up to all week. So I'm guessing that's what they had in their mind.
It's because of the first time, isn't it, really? Rob Shaw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was a completely different thing to what happened the first time. I mean, they broke
Yeah,
They broke the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
They broke the rules.
Those boys are just they're just assuming that you lot got jolly and merry and just went mad.
And listen, I'm not going to say we didn't get jolly and merry. We had a bloody good time, but we stuck to government guidelines and did what we had to do. And look, I mean, you know what? I look back and you think, look at the Lions, right? Lions are over there. They're in a bubble. They're in a bubble and they still managed to get COVID. Coaches got COVID. Players got COVID. But they were fortunate because they had a 36-man squad. So at the end of the day, they can make a team and get a team out there. You don't invite 36 blokes to a Barbarians match. You invite 23 players to a Barbarians team. And suddenly you're hit with that and you're trying to make up for it. And we did everything we could to get out there on the field. And like I said, we had a team ready to go. So I don't think they had the full information before making those comments. So
scathing remarks, yeah.
Yeah, probably out there. But again, John Spencer, he is an absolute gentleman if you've ever met him. Lovely bloke, legend of a man. And so proud of everything that the Baa-Baas are. So I just hope that it gets smoothed over nice and quickly and we move on. And hopefully, I think there's another Barbarians game next June against England potentially. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, look at these boys stuck in South Africa at the moment. The URC's up in arms at the moment with everything that's going on. So I'm guessing we're moving into that. But on another note, I have met some absolute legends. And I'm not even joking. Some like proper mates for life. That was like, and blokes you'd never, ever, ever believe it. Honestly, Nick White, I've played against him so many times. Mouthy little fucker on the field. One of those blokes that like gets the eyes as well. Like, you fucking want to go, mate? Like gives you the eyes across the pitch. You're like, what is wrong with this bloke? And I've just worked out he's wired up exactly the same as me. He's a complete weirdo on the field, an annoying little tosser. Off the field, honestly, one of the best blokes I've ever met. Legend, absolute legend. Rob Carney, honestly, got in the room. I was like, oh no, Rob Carney, are you joking? This is going to be a nightmare of a week. Like, he's going to hate me. And we got on like a house on fire. Like, he's getting mad this week. I'm surprised I'm not over there, to be honest.
And that's the spirit of the Baa-Baas. So you achieved what it was all about anyway, pal, in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Taking the field as captain would have been glorious. But there's still time. Yeah.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully.
So from your perspective, Ryan, even though you guys didn't get on the field, you got a real sense of what the traditions are about and the culture of the Baa-Baas. Is there a place for them in the sort of modern rugby era?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. It was honestly like, if I'd taken that field, it would have been up there one of the best weeks of my life. It was amazing. It was everything like just with the boys and such good blokes. Like, you know what I mean? You're meeting blokes like Dwayne Vermeulen and Kitsoff and Malcolm Marc, like absolute legends and won World Cups. And you sat in a hotel with them and just sat chatting away, and they're just normal blokes at the end of the day. You know, like I was in awe almost at some points, pinching myself.
Obviously, the issues that COVID have caused all around with the Baa-Baas game, but let's move on to the URC. Munster and Cardiff stuck in South Africa, unable to fly back due to their COVID cases. South Africa now on the red list for the UK and Ireland. Looks like URC's plans, real tough spots. We'll start with you, Ryan. What's the latest you've been hearing?
I've heard they're stuck there till the 4th, is it? Like the 10 days quarantine there because they got 2 COVID cases. One, which is this Omicron. Am I right there?
Yeah, the Omicron.
Sounds
Who makes
like
these names?
Yeah,
Omicron.
it's so good. It's either
Decepticons. Move
exactly.
Yeah. It's like like an Autobot villain.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was Opticron, the things you put in your eyes. Sorry, go on, Ryan.
That's the latest I've heard. Is they're stuck there for 10 days, and that they then will have to quarantine as soon as they get here. So they're going to be pushed for time to play their next game, aren't they? I mean, well, they won't be able to play the game they've got this weekend. But yeah, I'm not too up to date on it. Have you heard anything, Max?
No, I haven't been looking heavily into it. But yeah, they're stuck. They are stuck. Well, I don't know what happens to their fixtures the next 2, because we've got Scarlets next week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the crack will be. I'm sure they're back.
Yeah, I'm getting intel here. plan is 10-day quarantine here, then we'll come home. We'll probably change between now and tomorrow, mind, as per usual. 2 positive, 1 with a new variant. So they wouldn't let us fly as it's a outbreak. And again, there you are. 2 cases in that camp and it's an outbreak. So it's just like everything's just up in the air at the moment, isn't it? You just got to, like, it's so scary. I mean, some of the boys, obviously after the Barbarians stuff, needed to get back to South Africa. So they were like panicking. They were like, we've got to get home. Malcolm Marc was getting married this week, I think. So he was like, what if I don't get back for my wedding? You know? People had some bigger issues than I did. But yeah, it's mental, isn't it? I can't believe it's coming back.
Move on now to a momentous ruling last week by World Rugby that players who meet a nation's criteria can change their test allegiance if they haven't represented that nation for 36 months. Max, thoughts on that?
Fantastic. There's nothing negative about that ruling. It's so good to see like those teams that sort of struggle with getting funding and stuff, being able to pick from players who are sort of out of favour with these sort of tier 1 nations and stuff, and then they can give back to the countries of their like birth. I think it's fantastic. And have you seen some of the hypothetical teams that can be picked from? My God. Like Tonga's group, you're in trouble, chaps. There's all sorts of thunder and lightning coming down your channels. Like, wow, mate, I think it makes for just a better product as well. The World Cup's going to be outstanding this year, as long as this one coming, so long as these guys can get selected for them, which I have no doubt they will. It should be very juicy. Like Samoa and Fiji. Like I saw some hypothetical lineups. It was shocking. It's going to be unreal. So it'll
make it a lot more exciting, won't it? It will. It'll make it a lot more exciting, and putting people back to their birth roots and their blood. It's it's special. It'll be good.
So welcome back to the show to Lions and Wales legend Jamie Roberts, who, as you might have spotted earlier on, has just brought out his autobiography, his new book, Centre Stage. You didn't? Oh, there it is. Before we discuss that, though, quick word on the Welsh during the Autumn Nation series. Some people, Bernard Jackman actually saying that they massively benefited from red cards in the last 2 series, and they're in for a rude awakening. This 6 Nations, what do you make of that?
Well, it's history repeating itself, isn't it? We always have a disappointing autumn and then go and do really well in the 6 Nations. But yeah, like in the first 2 games, to play the All Blacks first up, out the test window, a lot of rugby lads hadn't played a lot of rugby, was always going to be a huge ask. And, we went toe to toe for 50, 60 minutes, but they blew the lads off the park in that last quarter of an hour. The Box was a much better game. Yes, it was drizzly, but I think if there's any team where Wales are going to challenge the Test rugby, it's against the Springboks. They play quite a similar style. And again, last 5 minutes just didn't quite contain them. And, it's another loss. But, the lads regrouped then and won the last 2, albeit, there's a red card in both games. So that's one factor at play. The other one is quite a lot of players missing, which, hindered the Welsh in some capacity. So hopefully a lot of those lads will be back fit come 6 Nations. And the pressure's back on. Wales are ranked 5th out of the 6 Nations sides, which worries me a little bit, but it always happens, mate, is that the boys come out in November, people are throwing stones and they come out and they deliver in the 6 Nations. Wales have an awesome kind of record in the 6 Nations the last, certainly, decade. And they won it last year. They're current champions. The team to beat.
Quick word, though, on that. Nigel Owen saying he has no idea whatsoever how that Nick Tompkins try was allowed. What was your view on it?
Fascinating one. Look, if Nigel said that, he's got a far better idea than me. I thought it went backwards off the hand. The problem is you've got the ref awarding the try on field. Well, then the rules state that the video ref has to show clear and obvious knock on, which he couldn't because the angles they had showed the ball going backwards from Nick's hand. So, if it is a knock on, there's a problem in the the whole awarding the try on field. Is it a try? Is it not? The question they ask, etc. But from where I saw it, that went back off the hand of Nick Tompkins. It's something you do as a midfielder. You defend quite high, you come up in the line, you sometimes put your hand out, you get it wrong, it's a yellow card. But on that occasion, it kind of he got it right because he stopped the pass going and the ball went backwards from where I saw it. So, try stands. But again, if Nigel's calling it a knock-on, well then, who am I to disagree?
How are you finding the URC?
Challenging. Look, it's great. I've played first game in about 8 weeks on the weekend. We lost at home to Edinburgh, unfortunately. We're playing Ryan's side this weekend up in Glasgow. I hope it's not as cold as the weekend. Jesus.
Oh, mate.
Freezing.
It will be. It will be.
Will it?
I think it's snowing, mate.
What's your thoughts, Ryan, on leg skins? Am I allowed to wear it, or will I be banished to the... Max, will I be banished in your memory as it's an awful
you're a back.
I wear skins?
You're a back.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Especially on the 4G. Mate, get them on you.
I'm allowed.
That stuff cuts you up. You're allowed. You're allowed. It's okay.
All right. Ryan, will you be wearing skins?
Oh, mate, if I didn't have to line out jump, I'd have them on.
Oh, yeah, fair, yeah. Do any of your backs wear them?
To be fair, I don't think any of them have yet, but I think that ruling, we haven't played a game since that ruling came in at home, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see. I've seen a lot more players do it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I can do it yet. I've got to breathe it.
Mate, I don't think it's a bad idea on our pitch as well. You don't want to be getting grazers. So a frozen Astro pitch, mate, get them on. Get them on.
But the URC is good. It's exciting. It's just such a shame now, this South African stuff. I mean, they came over here and I just felt those teams were finding their feet. They struggled the first few rounds. They just couldn't get any purchase in the games. And then, they got a couple of good away results, saw them playing some good rugby. And then here we are, about to test ourselves against those guys out there, and COVID has just scuppered it. So it's desperately frustrating, isn't it? Certainly for the individuals involved, but more so for the league. Like, it's just kind of credibility-wise, it's challenging, isn't it?
Taking COVID out of it, do you think it's a better model, perhaps, than your previous leagues?
I mean, it's a tough question. Better model? I'm not quite sure what is a good model, what's a poor model. I think the tough thing about South Africa, yes, we're playing against these sides. They're in the similar time zone. They're only +1 or +2, aren't they? But just for fans, so tough. As a fan to spend that much money. You're not travelling 2 hours down the road to watch your team. You're flying 12 hours. To watch your team play.
It's a good excuse to get away from the missus and the kids.
Well, it is, mate. It is. It's a great long weekend, but it's a lot of money, to us as go and support your team on the other side of the other side of the world, opposite side of the world, and the southern hemisphere down there. So that's the challenge, and it's whether we're going to get much away support at those venues is difficult. But I love playing against different sides. Travelling with the game has always been something I've loved doing. I think the lads would agree, Max and Ryan, you play away in Europe and you get all excited when you come up against a team you haven't played before away from home, because you get to experience their ground, you get to experience what it's all about. So it's going to be the same for us lads now in the URC playing out in South Africa.
Yeah, you get to do shark diving and eat loads of bras. Hold on, have a look at this.
Oh, there we are. Oh, my God. Is that -1 on Saturday?
This is Saturday, 1 degrees. You're welcome.
A summer sport, Maximus.
What's that?
Should be a summer sport.
Absolutely. I've always said this. I've always professed this, but no one really cares for my opinion. But I'd advocate for that all day long, Jimmy. Yeah. You just get way more out of it. Better product, better skills on show. Players would want to play more. Half the guys go on a sabbatical when it gets to this part of the year. Some boys are just like, yep, get through this session. The monotony and the grind of the rugby program, and you're just out there smearing each other into frozen pitches. You're like, whoa, this is a good career. This is a meaningful career. Best job I ever
especially
had.
in the front row, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. I'd give up. I would genuinely give up. If I was front row, I'd give up.
Yeah.
Were you boys meant to go, and when were you meant to play over there, Joan?
End of March, start of April. So
yeah, we're about the same time.
Yeah, we're God knows whether that'll happen now. I mean, the hard thing for the lads is just now the credibility around Europe, because bear in mind the Scarlets are already back and they'll do 10 days quarantine as of I think yesterday or Sunday, which will take them to we'll do the math. It's kind of a Wednesday or Thursday before your first European fixture, which I think is Bristol away, Max.
Got it, yeah.
First up,
Agreed.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
obviously
that is.
Cardiff have yet to fly home from South Africa. So if they do fly Thursday or Friday, we'll see, how the cases, the testing comes back. Well, then those lads, the core of that squad, won't be available for that opening.
Are those boys allowed to train at the moment?
Well, they're in the hotel rooms, mate. They can't leave their room.
So
they can
that's
do
what I
press
mean.
ups
They're
and sit-ups in their room.
So the boys that are negative aren't allowed to go out and train, are they?
No one can leave, mate.
So they're going to have pretty much one training session before they play Toulouse.
Well, but they won't be back. They won't be out of quarantine before Toulouse.
Do they have balconies?
I don't think so, mate. I don't think so.
They get no yard time.
This is the challenging thing now. Like Toulouse, think about it for the club. It's the biggest game Cardiff would have hosted in a long, long time. European champions come into the capital city like rock star team, sell out. The corporate attendance, everything around the game is huge, isn't it? And all of a sudden, you're probably playing the game with, a few internationals have stayed behind, but the core of your squad is still in the hotel room.
Jamie, you beat the All Blacks playing for the Baa-Baas in 2009. What did that week teach you about how preparation can perhaps be misleading to performance?
Yeah, that's a good question. I write about it in the book, and it taught me a valuable lesson in 2009. I was a young man. I was 21, just turned 21. No, I wasn't. Just turned 22, 23, sorry. I forgot when I was born. And it was, I'd never seen a group of lads flick a switch on a Saturday morning to perform like that in my career before. I came through as an academy player, kind of this first generation of academy lads who came through. We lived in the gym as kids and out on the pitch doing skills, etc. It was all very professional from a young age. And that carried on into club rugby and with Cardiff Blues, who were my first club. And the week, it was all about preparation. You do your 1%ers in a week and they all add up, whether that's your analysis, recovery, etc. And you eat well and sleep well and all that. And then I played in a side that beat the All Blacks on a sold-out Twickenham. So there were some rock stars in our team and some serious players. But I remember driving home from that game just thinking, well, is it all about the preparation or is it all about relationships and delivering for 80 minutes? Yes, your preparation will allow you to deliver better for 80 minutes, but it's all about that kind of arousal level and that state you can get yourself into for 80 minutes, regardless of how much preparation you've done. Like I've played in squads and played with players that tick every box in the preparation, and that doesn't always translate to playing well on the weekend. And I think a lot of younger players fall into the trap that they do, ABC in the week. That means that they're going to play well on the weekend. But it's never that way. And I think throughout my career, I've taken like this inverse approach to it and made sure that everything is about that state come 80 minutes on the weekend. Yes, I'll do my recovery and eating, etc. I was as professional as I could be, but I never gave too much weight to that stuff. It was all about that kind of mental switch come Saturday, whether it was Saturday morning, whether it was in the shower Saturday before the game, whether it was, on the way to the ground, being able to get in the zone for that 80 minutes mattered more than anything in the week. And that Baa-Baas game actually taught me that. It was an experience I went through, and yeah, it probably was because we beat the All Blacks after a traditional Barbarians week. But it was a real valuable lesson.
That is mental, isn't it? But I think also, like, building up to the week, you look around and you go, well, we'll be all right because Big Dwayne's going to smash it up, so I don't really need to do that. And then he's relying on, well, that's all right because James O'Connor's unbelievable. He's going to be doing this. And I guess a lot of players during that week look around and go, I can afford to have an extra beer because he's going to be all right. You look around and that team that you beat the All Blacks with was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Oh, it was outrageous. But, like, you just saw this look on the lads. They came down on Saturday. Yeah, we'd been out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Thursday was a bit quieter. I remember I think we were in myself and Andy Powell were in a bar in Leicester Square on Thursday. And we had a Corona in our hands and we just looked at each other, came about 9 o'clock and we're like, let's go home. our time's up now.
And you left, I'm guessing, and he
Oh,
stayed.
no. We called it a day. Obviously, captains run on the Friday. You know, we recovered then for 2 days. And yeah, I'm just a look on the lads. Like I was a young lad. I was learning all about professionalism and about the game. And just the boys came down. There wasn't the same jokey, environment that we'd had all week. It was full of focus. And I was like, man, how cool is that? How cool is it to be able to enjoy a week, build relationships with people that then bang, flip a switch, and go out and deliver a performance like that?
You've played in so many incredible matches throughout your career, but could you tell us your recollection of coming up against Sam Burgess in your World Cup victory against England at Twickenham and the build-up and sort of aftermath to that incredible day for you?
Yeah, massive day. Forever one of the biggest games in the career of any Welsh rugby player. Playing England at their World Cup in Twickenham. It's a recipe for just an amazing day, isn't it? And we were fortunate. We were on the right side of the scoreline, and we'll never forget it. And the battle with Sam was huge, wasn't it? It got built up throughout the week. The press were touting two kind of big lads going up against each other. And I speak about it in the book about it at length, around his inexperience in Union. It's unbelievable rugby league player, incredible player, but his inexperience in Union. I was like, when they named him, on one behalf of me was like, Jesus, lad is big, and he's bigger than me, and he's punchier than me as well, in the carrying and in the contact as well. So it's a proper physical challenge, and not often do I have those sort of challenges in the game because I'm quite a big lad. It's only ever been Sonny Bill Williams, Marnonu, sort of these lads who I look at and go, right, I'm going to get properly challenged physically. And Sam Burgess is one of those because he's a big lad. But his inexperience in Union, on the other hand, I'm thinking, right, this is happy days because they've picked a guy who doesn't have much experience in Union. And so it was unfortunately during the game. I don't think we get to collide much in that sense, but just an amazing day, man. To this day, I've never seen so many grown men cry. I remember coming out of the change room and seeing all the Welsh huddled around the bus, by the Lion Gates by there, Twickenham. There must have been 30 or 40 blokes just in tears, like, as we got back on the bus, all hugging gats, like, just an unbelievable experience. As class as my brother was working on the camera as well, so he was on the corner pitch cam. So I remember coming off the pitch and I see my brother, all my good mates are there and stuff. Just a special day, brutal day for England, but as a Welsh rugby player, pretty special.
Burgess did make a couple of comments about that game. He said, I'm getting an exact quote here. "I'm sure when I left the field in this game, we were leading by 10 points with 15 minutes to go. Jamie Roberts collided with me a few times. I think they enjoy the game a little better when I left the field."
Well, look, whatever he thinks about the game, I respect Sam. I think he's a top lad. Obviously, a brilliant player, and I speak about it at length in the book. Just about
diplomat. I love it. Sorry.
Say that again.
I said you're a wonderful diplomat. Keep going.
Diplomat.
I want some teeth, Jimmy. I've seen them before in the changing room. I'm joking.
Yeah. But it's fascinating. Just unfortunately, he was made a bit of a scapegoat certainly by the English media around that. But it's the English management that put him in that situation. Did they lose the game because he was picked there? No. They lost the game because Lloyd Williams' crafty left boot down the left-hand touchline. Delicious scrum half.
One of the most momentous occasions in your career, not a positive one, but could you reveal to us the story behind the untold conflict in 2017, which meant that you never played for Wales again?
No, it was difficult. Difficult time in my career. I probably struggled for a year after it. It was just a brutal situation, really, because I'd agreed with Harlequins. I had full release for all training and playing for Wales. I just remember being in Wales camp, and our last game, we always play one game outside the fixture, the international window. Yeah, and our last game was South Africa at home, and Gats came up to me early in the week and told me they were going to start with with Hartley at 12, and I'd be on the bench. But there was this issue brewing with Harlequins, who basically said to me, look, if you play come the weekend, you can no longer be a Harlequins player, because they've been threatened with one, a monetary fine, and two, points deduction, because of the PRL rules around player release, etc., outside the window. And it was a brutal situation because, a fine is one thing. I think when you start talking about points deduction as well, you're impacting your club teammates who were, striving that season. All of a sudden they get deducted points because you want to play for your country. It's an awful moral kind of dilemma to be in. And just throughout the week, again, emotionally, it was very, very tough. And it ended up, driving down the M4 in tears, going back to Quins. And I didn't get picked to play for Wales again. It was very, really weird way to finish my Test career. And as I said, emotionally, I struggled for about a year. It was on the back of my mind every day for about a season and a half. Certainly during my time in Bath, Max. And it was tough. When you're involved in a team so long and then it finishes like that, you talk about closure and whether that's in different aspects of your life or relationships or whatever. It's quite important. I never kind of got that, and it broke me. It broke me for like a year and a half. And I did get closure. Come the World Cup, those cycles, I understand how players' cycles go and slept aside the World Cup. Come the World Cup, I was out in Japan watching the lads play, and I was like, do you know what? That's my time at Test level. But yeah, it was a tough way to end the career. Again, those emotions I talk about quite deeply in the book, and it is very challenging.
Hey, James, tell me this. Asking for a mate? No, I'm joking. I'm not going to write a book. But how do you write a book? Like, obviously, you don't write it yourself. You just talk to someone, or did you write it yourself? Do people do that? How does it work?
No, so Ross Harry's wrote a book. So Ross he's written a few books previously. Kind of established broadcast journalist here back in Wales. Has done some stuff with Amazon recently in November. So Ross and I, sat down, write a pitch, and he pitched to publishers, and you go from there. You get accepted by a publisher, and I think it was a lot of it was during COVID, mate. So a lot of it was over Zoom, which was quite challenging. But when the rules relaxed, we got to meet up. Probably maybe 10 or 15 times we met up for the 3 hours and just chewed the fat. My best source of info was iCloud, funnily enough, because you think, how on earth am I going to remember?
Yeah, flick back through.
And mate, you just go back through your cloud and you'd be like, oh my God, South Africa, 2008. Class, I was there with that guy. And then all of a sudden you remember all the story.
That's quite cool.
So that was my biggest challenge, actually. Coming to write a book, I'm just thinking, I got no chance here. I'm going to have to... My parents are pretty diligent. They've kept every newspaper article back in the day, probably like anyone's parents. So they were kind of so proud that all the newspaper clippings, they gave me all that. They said, here you are, here's the archive, boxes of the stuff. Here it is. And, fair play to Ross, he went through most of it, corroborated what I was saying. He's such a good writer. For the first chapter I read, he sent it through to me. I was like, mate, you kind of understood exactly how I wanted the book to be, and it's cool when you see it. I've dedicated it to my boy. Hopefully one day you can read it and understand what his dad did in the game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Have you got an audiobook for it?
There is an audiobook. Do you know what? We got...
Look at him trying to plug himself.
Do you have an audio book?
There is an audiobook. You can't read. Or
No, I was wondering, do you narrate it?
He wants to narrate it for you, doesn't he? Listen to him. Listen to the subtle dosage of his beautiful...
I think Jimmy would have been good to narrate. He's got a good voice. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, mate. I'm not sure your amazing accent would be suitable for my... I've gone more Richard Burton... kind of the West Wales.
I'm look at myself. Look what you guys have done now. But anyway, no thanks.
Do you know what? The audiobook was funny because you get forwarded a couple of examples, and they read a passage of your book, and you get sent the audio files. It's so funny. I mean, there was one lad who had like kind of this Cardiff chavvy accent, probably similar to me, and then there was this other guy who had a more established West Walian accent, was more powerful, West Wales. And I was like, you know what, go with the West Wales, man.
Yeah,
it sounds more
majestic.
Yeah, more majestic. War of the Worlds,
All right, quick fire questions. Drum roll. Jamie Roberts, best player you've ever played against?
Carter, because I kind of, as a defensive captain leader, you always try and anticipate the game. And he was just one player where you thought he was going to run, he'd kick. You thought he was going to pass, he'd run. Just could never anticipate what he was going to do as an opposition fly half.
Best player you've played alongside?
Shane Williams. Purely, he had the ability. I don't think I've played with anyone since him who had the ability to influence, i.e. win a game on his own. Like, I'd be in games with Shane 60 minutes, 65 minutes, the game's on edge. And, I think everyone in the team would be like, just get the ball to Shane. He was that sort of player. You could change a game on his own. And I've not played with anyone who had that ability. So Shane.
And JB, final one, your proudest moment in the game?
Proudest moments. There's a few. There's some awesome moments with some great people. But pride, probably your first cap for your country. I think probably when you reflect and when were my parents most proud. I think when you actually realise the dream of playing for your country. First cap, 2008, for Wales against Scotland in Cardiff.
Excellente. Final thing, Max, it is time for one of our favourite features, which is Max's book club. Jamie, this is where Max reads a passage from an autobiography of a player, and you and Ryan need to guess who that player is.
Max, remember, I was a little bit disappointed last week because you didn't do an accent.
I know, but it didn't call for accents because there was no.
Max, is it from this book?
Not yet. We'll get that in at some point.
The Amazon link there.
If there's speech bubbles, I'll do accents. But if not, I don't because I've got a whole character a long time then.
Yeah. Okay. I just enjoyed the one where you did Paul O'Connell.
Yeah, the one with Brian O'Driscoll. Yeah. Oh, the Paul O'Connell one was fun as well. Was it? Parley.
I'm ready. Right. Sorry, I'm ready.
And in among all those amazing backs was Andrew Bishop, a ridiculously underrated player, and as important to that team as any of them. He may not be lightning quick, but even the most elusive runners would struggle to get past him. He was our defensive rock and would act as a bodyguard to whoever was playing 10, whether it was Bigger or James Hook. If the guys around him were glamour boys, he was the polar opposite. Pound for pound, he's the hardest bloke I know. Alan Wynne gets a bit playful when he's drunk. He's a big man and enjoys a wrestle and a bear hug. It's almost always a show of affection, but sometimes he gets overly tactile. During one of our infamous fancy dress Christmas parties, he started picking on Bish, who was dressed as Zorro. Alan Wynne was Captain America, if I remember rightly. Zorro politely told Captain America to back off, wounding his pride in the process. Alan Wynne squared up to Bish in what turned out to be an unwise display of machismo. I can't imagine this bloke using this word, but anyway. A few of us turned away, anticipating that things might get a bit spicy. Now, bear in mind that Bish is 5'11" and about 14 stone. Alan Wynne is 6'7" and more than 18 stone. Most people would back down in a confrontation with a man of those dimensions. Not Bish. With the speed and precision of a pugilist, he unleashed a single punch that landed squarely on Alan Wynne's jaw. He dropped to the floor like a sack of spuds. It was a remarkable sight. Within seconds, Al recovered his senses and gingerly returned to his feet. Within 10 minutes, they were at the bar together, hugging and buying each other's drinks. I learned a valuable lesson that night. Don't mess with the Bish.
Right, before you answer it, James, do you know who it is?
I think I'm pretty confident I know who it is.
Well, you gave me absolutely nothing there, Max. If Jamie wasn't in it and you haven't heard the story before, there was he's obviously an Ospreys player or a Welsh player.
Yeah, it's without a doubt my good friend Mikey Phillips and his new book.
It's not.
It's
Yeah, we've curveballed him.
Just so
Hey,
good.
do you know what? You know I know that because Mike Phillips texted me last week saying, "When are you going to read my book out?"
It's not.
No.
No, hold on. Did Mike Phillips play at Ospreys?
Confidence.
Yeah, I was so confident that was Mike.
Right. So right. It's an
Burney.
Ospreys player.
Lee Byrne.
No.
Oh my God. What are the Ospreys players that done books?
I mean,
Is it definitely an Ospreys player, Max?
this guy's played for the Lions. And
Bowie.
Wales.
Bowie.
No.
No.
Hold on. Let's try and let's narrow this back down. So is this has happened in Lions camp, not in an Ospreys fancy dress?
No. This is Ospreys.
Oh, okay. This is happening in Ospreys camp.
I was just letting you narrow it down. But
yeah, okay.
This guy's got a legit pedigree. Yeah.
He's obviously got some fist on him. Oh no, he didn't do the punching, did he?
No, he
I
didn't.
was going to say it might
did
be Alan Wynne, but he talks talking about Alan Wynne. So unless it's Alan Wynne talking in the third person about himself,
right? Well, what other Welsh players? Does he have to be Welsh? He doesn't have to be Welsh, does he?
He is Welsh.
Oh, he is Welsh.
It's a really good question. This. Jeez, I was convinced that was Mike.
Man. Right, forward or back? Give us that.
Forward.
What else, Max? Come on, give him something. Feed him a little something.
Has very interesting head follicles.
Adam Jones, bomb.
Oh,
boom!
big
There it
Adam
is.
Jones.
There it is.
Man.
The bomb.
Bomb.
I'm gutted. I think I've managed to work them all out, but there wasn't enough there for me to get.
Yeah, fair. You actually have done pretty good so far. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
Max, very well read, mate. You shouldn't narrate an autobiography. Maybe Ryan's.
I'd be so privileged. It'd be a sincere honour.
You do it in my accent?
But Scotland.
You have to do it as a Scottish.
I didn't do it in Scottish, eh?
Oh, awesome.
Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show. And we look forward to finding the appropriate passage from your autobiography and having it beautifully rendered by Max.
There it is. 99p at all good bookstores, boys.
Bring me a copy up on Saturday, mate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nice. You just rip it up on the pitch.
Who wrote the foreword?
No one's written the foreword, mate.
Oh, I wish you got someone to write that.
Yeah, Mark, thank you. Max, I'll see you in Bristol soon. Ryan, I'll see you Saturday.
Can't wait. Pleasure, Jimmy.
Bring your bobble out, son. See you then.
Cheers, guys. Ta-ra.
Let's turn our attentions back to the Prem and London Irish causing another big upset by beating an informed Harlequin side 22-19. Max, you've been praising the Irish all season and you warned that they were dangerous without perhaps getting all of the luck. Has this result vindicated your warnings, Max?
I think so. You only have to look at the table now. Yeah. Who else they've done? They came from behind and drew with Sarries as well in a naughty way down there. Man, they're a legit team. And if you look at the squad, it's outrageous. Academy, everyone's like, yeah, it's only going to get better for Irish, I think. Squad's really well balanced. A lot of internationals. And then the academy guys are punching. Like, they're really, really representing in that side.
Who's impressing you the most?
One good prediction all season. You said
I know,
Irish
it's my only one. I was like, Irish are good. Don't sleep on Irish. I think Curtis Rona's the man at the moment. I think he's driving the culture. Obviously, Creevy as well. He's been very influential. But yeah, I think between those two, they're the real kind of the influence in that team on the field and off it. I think that. I mean, I'd like to see Sean O'Brien out there more. I've heard he's a hell of a character. Yeah, but that's where I see that their games being won by those two up front.
some quite spicy comments from Eddie Jones regarding Maro Itoje, saying he was inward looking and might never be an England captain. Seeing as he was picked to be line skipper last summer at a certain point, and he was, in the running for it, are we surprised by these comments?
Who pipped him to be the captain?
The press pipped him big time, didn't they? They did. He was like a big.
So but they didn't know him personally. Therefore, you could never pick a man to be captain if you didn't know him personally.
Yeah.
So, press, zip it. Max, talk to me.
Well, I don't know Maro particularly well, but what you can take from that is either is it about Maro's brand getting in the way of being captain of England, or I think because whenever you see him on field, I think he's very vocal. He seems to embody them emotionally, like Saracens and England. So if you're looking on field and then matching it up with what Eddie Jones is saying, it almost seems different. But I guess guys, when they're around the park, like in the changing room and stuff, can be very different to who they are on the field. So that could be what's going on here. Maybe we don't get to see maybe Maro is quite an introspective bloke off field. Or is he saying something else? Do you know what I mean? Is he saying Maro's selfish or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to be a hypocrite from my comments right at the beginning about Dylan and John Davies. We don't have all the information on Maro Itoje, but what I can tell you is, from what I said, I suppose, at the beginning, is the man on the field compared to the man off the field is very different. And what I know is you've got to be fully invested in not just yourself, but everyone else if you're going to captain. It's all about the team and not just yourself. So maybe there's something there. But again,
perfect embodiment of a captain, Ryan Wilson. He has. We've also learned that he's been sending Maro for acting lessons to help with this, and that's got us thinking. What are the weirdest training or alternative methods you've ever undergone to try and get the best out of you guys from like a coach or somebody?
Whoa! So that throws another spanner in the works.
By that rationale. It must be that he's quite introspective, isn't it? He must be quite like a private guy off the field.
Yeah, maybe wants him to be more out there. Actually, see him in interviews. He's quite a quiet guy, isn't he?
Charismatic, more like a better communicator, maybe to like take him to that next level of captaincy. But it's weird that you say that, because recently we had like a communications coach in who was like a sort of West End Shakespearean actor and presenter. Like
you were in your element.
Real thespian. And it was really interesting, actually. I quite enjoyed it. But you know what the biggest takeaway I got from it was? Speak from your diaphragm, man. No. The biggest takeaway I got from it was that, like, in life, because we're conforming so much to sort of certain social climates or whatever it is, any situation, when you're meeting people or you're going on like the tube or you're with your best friends, you have a different mask. You don a sort of different sort of version of yourself to suit the room, so to speak. And he was like, there's nothing wrong with having lots of masks. Use the masks as you see fit. Because obviously young players, like, I don't know, who was a really good example? Charlie Ewels, for example, when I was at Bath, very good leader, very good speaker, good captain. But he still tempered that by being like a young player in a Bath team. But then he would don the mask of, I am the leader. Same with George Ford. Like, young guy, like impeccable speaker in the changing room. He'd put that mask on and he'd become older than he was, so he could communicate with kind of the gravitas of like a more experienced guy like Francois Lowe or someone. Because I think a lot of the time in rugby, it's easy when you get into an environment to go within yourself, isn't it? Because you're, especially as a young player, you're meeting sort of really dominant personalities. Imagine being like a young player and then you meet Andy Powell. You'd be like, oh my God, this is so much masculinity. I can't even like compete with this. So you become sort of a more timid person around people like that. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I got from it. Anyway, long story short, the communication coaching was really, really insightful. Really enjoyed it. Use your masks, gentlemen.
But yeah, is
Use
that
the
what
masks.
is that basically what they wanted you to sort of say? Is like you should have different masks then for different.
No, there were other stuff. There was some like enunciation things, like blah, like doing weird tongue exercises and stuff. It looked a bit kind of gratuitous.
Was it
quite
media
good fun.
focused or was it?
No, it was on field stuff. So it was like making the communications between players like more sort of fluid and clearer. You know,
Bloody
come
hell,
on,
that's
Matt.
interesting.
Don't you find that's quite a big part of like what your coach's critical outcomes are? Communication on field, very quiet today, lads. Need more vibe, need more communication. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. I just found it quite interesting. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like when you guys put that up there, I was like, oh my god, we've had a thespian come in and coach us. Let's share my experience with the boys
I can
today.
only imagine you in your bloody element though, like getting so
Oh, that
theatrical.
brown cow. How do I talk better? How do I communicate better? It was like big on the lip reading as well and like hand gestures. Fold round the corner. Do you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. He was getting involved. It was
it's good. That is, I like that. I do like that because that is one thing that kills me when you get players that don't talk. You're like, it fixes everything. If you just talk,
like commentary whilst you're playing, like giving a little bit inside to you, just telling the lad what we're doing, what he's got to do, what you've got to do. It is so helpful.
That's a bloody good idea. I might steal that up here. That's not weird. Yeah. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
It is good, yes.
Have you ever had any, Ryan? Anything like slightly out there where you're like, this is weird from a coach, but actually ends up being quite a good thing?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, we've watched a lot of weird different videos and stuff, but no, I mean, they sent us all, this is ages ago, on like a, almost like a media training course. And when you speak, not to say, and not to swear and like it was called the pink elephant. You weren't allowed to say a certain word and done stuff like that, which I think is quite important for some young guys. Like, you know, some of these younger guys that are coming in, getting thrown in and get thrown in front of the media, they need a little bit of that. But no, I like that one from that guy, Max. Send me his details. I'm sure you've got it.
Dominic, I'll send you his number. We're besties now.
Yeah, I knew it. You have been all over that. Really. Max, there is definitely an acting career for you after this.
Imagine playing dress up for a living. It'd be unbelievable fun. Just
mate,
donning.
Wouldn't it be? It would be pretty cool. Oh,
it would be fun.
Mate, Charlie Ingle, your mate Charlie Ingle.
Is he acting?
No. But I know he has a studio, and I know they film like Peaky Blinders down there and stuff like that. So we should get in touch.
Be like, Charlie, make me an extra on Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd look like the muscle in the background, just the mini boss that gets capped.
I'm thinking like Braveheart, like get that.
Oh yeah, freedom.
You know, I could get it out and like properly go for it. Yeah, freedom. That's why I'm sort of keeping it. So it might
take our lives. Yeah.
Might suit well for our acting careers after.
I'm so down. Do that together.
Yeah, God, we've got weird again.
That's all the time we've got left for now. As always, please do like and subscribe to the show when you get a second. But a huge thank you to Max, and a huge thank you to Ryan, and a huge thank you to Jamie, and we'll see you all next week.